So OTB Sports is back for another series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in Premier League and Irish football history. With behind-the-scenes access, we're talking to some of the legendary names from the biggest clubs and meeting the crucial people behind the scenes who make a Premier League club what it is. It's all in association with Cadbury FC, global partner of Manchester United. Check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. I'm delighted to be joined by Republic of Ireland international Stephanie Roche. How are you keeping, Stephanie?
I'm good, Nathan. How are you?
Manchester United super fan as well. We had Jaap Stam on. You were previewing Manchester United season. Were you a Jaap Stam fan? He's gone now, so you can say what you want.
I was a little bit starstruck, I'm not going to lie. No, yeah, obviously he was a great player for United, and I think I was singing the Yip Yap song all day. So Yip Yap Sam to my boyfriend talking about him.
Sing it there. I don't know this song. We need a full rendition. Come on.
No, that's not going to happen. Everyone who's a United fan knows the song. No, but yeah, obviously, look, great to do a bit of work with him, and it's great to speak to him. He's a United legend.
Your love of Manchester United, where did it come from?
Just growing up. My brothers were both Man United fans, fanatical. Whenever I went in to watch a game, we watched the games together all the time, sit in front of the TV. It was always Man United on the TV, and match of the day, we waited for the United game. So it was just always there from a very early age.
That does seem to be a key thing when we talk about how you get young girls involved in football and interested in the game. It just almost needs to be that natural thing that it's not the boys go in to watch the football and the girls go and do something else. So many players that we talked to had that similar path of, well, the lads were going to the game, so I went as well. The lads were watching the game, so I went as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously you have to have an interest too, because I think when I was younger, I was either playing football or I was watching football. You know, I loved watching the games. I loved learning from watching players like Van Nistelrooy, like obviously the forward players. I was never doing the stuff that Jaap Stam done, so I can't tip him here. But yeah, just watching the players and trying to emulate what they do on the pitch when I was going out playing in the street, and definitely it stood to me growing up, I think.
Yeah. How many years now since the Puskas nomination?
Oh wow, 6 years, isn't it? 2015 was the actual award. So yeah, a while ago now.
You must look back and go, bloody hell, that was mad.
Yeah, I still do. Like, still to this day, it's funny because I think around the whole thing, I didn't really have time to stop and think about everything that was happening, the people that were contacting me, the interviews I was doing, the people that were tweeting my goal. You know, it was crazy at the time that I didn't actually get a chance to sit back and kind of look at everything. So it's only kind of really been the last couple of years where I've had the chance to kind of look back at it and kind of go, well, that was actually quite special. You know, it was a great time in my career, and I was very lucky with the support that I got from everybody all over Ireland and women's football throughout the world. To be honest, a lot of people supported me.
Can you talk about that, about the support you got from women's football? Because it felt like a big moment to have that Puskas nomination, to be there at the awards alongside Ronaldo and Messi, that actually, yes, this goal is on a par with any other goal that was scored in world football over the past year.
Yeah, I think that was the important thing as well. I think anybody who looked at the goal, and that was something that I take with me, is I spoke to professional footballers who played at the highest level of the game in the men's game, come to me at the Puskas Award, at the Ballon d'Or, and tell me how great the goal was. So to hear that as a player from the likes of Del Piero, who we spoke to before the Ballon d'Or, like, that was something that, as I said, would stick with me forever. I have my brother there who would have been a huge Del Piero fan growing up too. So for him to come up and tell you that it was a great goal, I think that showed that, as you said, it was there on merit, and it was competing with the great players in the world. And I think that's what, I suppose, caught the attention of everybody. It was kind of that fairy tale, wasn't it, to see a young girl from a league that's kind of not that well known in little old Ireland getting a goal that went up against some of the best players in the world. And I think, as I said, the support that I got from people, not just in Ireland, from all over the world. And obviously, I think it was good for women's football. So that's why there was a lot of people involved in the women's game who were so happy to see it get the publicity it did. But I think so many people from the men's game as well helped to share the goal and show that, yes, women's football is here, and it can compete, and it can be as good as the men. So I think it really helped, particularly here in Ireland, women's football take a step forward, which I was happy to be part of.
I trust when Del Piero came up to tell you how great the goal was, you did the typical Irish thing and were like, no, it was grand, it was just that.
I was a tap-in. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, look, it was crazy because we seen him walking into it. We were having lunch in the kind of area with my family, and And Eamon, who was looking after my representative at the time, and he seen him and he went over and kind of introduced himself, and we went over, got a picture, and we started chatting. And it was funny because I was sitting there kind of going, he hasn't got a clue who I am, but he actually did know, and he'd heard about the goal and he'd seen the goal, and he just said to us, look, it was a very good goal, and wished us the best of luck going into the awards, obviously. So as I said, for someone like him to talk about the goal and to even know about it was pretty special, as I said. And it kind of, as I said, it's only when I look back and then think about the different things that happened on the night that I kind of realised how surreal the whole situation was, really.
I presume you look back and go, that goal has changed your life completely.
Yeah, definitely. I think in good ways and in bad as well, because I think a lot of people, I suppose, obviously I was put in the spotlight quite a lot when that goal went in. You know, a lot of people were talking about me. People who'd never seen me play football before were saying I was the best player in the world, you know. So, and then you have the opposite effect of that, then people who haven't seen you play and maybe haven't seen you score a wonder goal in 6 years then say you're not a good footballer, you know. So there's been good and bad that has come with it. But yeah, obviously it changed my life, definitely. It definitely put me in the spotlight. It gave me more opportunities in the public eye. It gave me opportunities to do media work like this, you know, and to do stuff with RTE and different people that I've done stuff with over the years. So it's definitely changed. It changed my life in certain ways, and it gave me different opportunities that I probably wouldn't have got, you know, if that goal hadn't have been caught on that day.
It is probably a strange position you've found yourself in over the last couple of years, where you are doing a lot of media work, and sometimes you do media work around the Republic of Ireland team, yet you're still playing, and I presume you still want to be a big part of that, and you have been a part of that over the last couple of years. You are the biggest name in the women's game in this country. There's no question about that. I think you're the most recognisable name, but you also want people to recognise that you are still the player, and I guess you want the coaches to recognise you're still the player as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, look, as I said, the podcast obviously brought me a lot of good stuff, but it also brought bad, because I think I'm probably highlighted a little bit more than most players. You know, if things don't go right, a lot of people seem to know about it, whereas other players can go away and maybe have bad experiences in leagues and teams, and it's less heard of in the Irish media, you know. So for me, I think a lot of the things that have happened since the podcast, I had a huge amount of luck with that, but I've had a lot of bad luck after the post, because I got the injury. I went to Italy, I had some bad experience over there, and I decided to come back to Ireland last year. And obviously when I came back, I hoped that I'd be able to get to more home-based sessions and Vera would see me, and COVID then hit, so that kind of put a lot of that on hold. So it's just been a lot of stuff that hasn't gone right since the podcast for me, that, as I said, you would like to have seen go right. But yeah, as you say, I'm not just about that goal. I think I've touched on that a few times. I've played for Ireland over 50 times. I'm 32 now, so I am pushing on a little bit, but I still feel like I have a bit to offer. I've been in quite a few of the home-based camps recently and done quite well. I've been on standby. I've been called in off standby, and it's been frustrating. Obviously, as a player, you want to be in there and you want to be playing and you want to be able to try and put yourself forward for the team. But look, the team are doing well. We've got a lot of young players coming through, and I think it's hard to say this at 32, but I have to be patient. You know, I have to kind of wait for that moment where I'm going to be given the opportunity to go in. I think this season I've had a good season. We played against Shells in the league. That was probably one of my better games over the last couple of months. So I feel sharp, I feel good, and I think it's just important, as I said, to try and remain positive and keep pushing on. And as I say, although it's hard enough for me at 32 to be patient, I have to keep on being patient and just wait for that opportunity to come.
Have you had many conversations then with Vera Powell over the last few months? She doesn't strike me as the type who'd be leading you along and giving you false hope.
No, I've had a couple of honest conversations. I've had a couple of short conversations. It's been kind of the usual stuff. I think when a manager is picking a squad, they can only pick a certain amount of players. They try to pick a squad that will, I suppose, work for what she wants to do within each game. As I said, I think I've done quite well in the home-based sessions, and she's told me I've done well, particularly in the most recent one. And I was put back on standby, so I kind of was hopeful throughout the week when there were kind of a couple of injuries that I might have got brought in, but unfortunately I didn't. So look, it's something that, as I said, as a player, you kind of have to get used to, and you have to control the controllables. And for me, that's about controlling what I do on the pitch and trying to keep on working hard and doing well, because I think I did have a couple of seasons where I wasn't playing at the top of my game. I can admit that. You know, I think I've had injuries here and there that have kind of set me back a little bit. But as I said, I feel right now, and the cup final last year, I think that was kind of my stepping stone back into trying to play at a better level and get myself fit and strong again. Because I think coming back from playing professional football and coming into an amateur league where you're training twice a week, you kind of have to have better structure in place and be able to have extra sessions. So I've been training with the boys teams. I've been trying to get extra sessions. I've been doing more gym work. So I'm trying to incorporate a professional, I suppose, lifestyle, professional footballer's lifestyle into a working lifestyle, which is difficult at the moment, trying to get that balance right. But as I said, I think the last couple of months I've started to play a little bit better. And as I said, I feel good. I feel sharp in myself. So hopefully that call-up will come again. We'll see what happens. But as I said, I'll remain positive and just keep on plugging away and see where we get.
Yeah, here's hoping. The training with the boys is something that Vera Powell is very passionate about and feels that it's a real way of progressing for the homegrown players. Who are you playing against? What level are you playing against?
I've been training with Bray under-17s boys. I've done a little bit with Bray under-19s boys as well, actually being started as a coach there. So over the kind of last couple of months, I would have been in and out with a couple of them, mainly with the under-17s in Bray. Their manager's been great with us as well, because there's been times where we go in and do a session, myself and Anya, training the same team. And the week after we're in home base, and then the week after it's the international. So it's kind of chopping and changing when we do turn up. But being there for those sessions definitely helps improve you. It's just a matter of sharpness and quickness. The boys at that age and at that level are that little bit quicker. So you have to think on your feet quickly, and it just gets you that little bit more sharper, So I do enjoy it. Actually, I actually enjoy training with the boys a lot, just because it suits my style of play, how I like to play as well. I like getting the ball and moving it quickly. So when you're playing with the boys, you can kind of do that. So I've enjoyed it. I think it is great to be able to do that, but for everybody, it's not the answer. I think for me personally, I think there needs to be more home-based sessions, because the tempo at the home-based sessions would be quite high as well. And I think I've no problem training with the boys. I'm used to it. I've done it my whole career. I've always gone in and trained with the boys whenever I've been home. But I think some of the younger girls coming up might not feel comfortable doing that. So in terms of a long-term plan, I'm not sure it's exactly the right way to go. Obviously, I think it will improve girls, but I think you also have to give the younger players coming up more options than just going and train with the boys. I think, as I said, some people are comfortable with doing it and some people aren't. So I think it's about getting that balance right.
The international women's team at the moment, then, it's sort of hard to figure out in that, or it had been hard to figure out, because off the pitch, so much good stuff had happened over the past few months with the new sponsorship deal, with the equal pay with the men's team. But on the pitch, after the defeat to Ukraine in the European Championship qualifier, it just felt so deflated inside and outside the squad, and they've been on this run of defeats. And then Australia come to town, one of the best teams in the world. Ireland get a last-minute winner. It feels like that might well be a line in the sand, actually, for this team, that they can put the massive disappointment that they felt from those qualifiers behind them, and that actually a new era can properly begin now. Yeah, look, I think they're on our way, really, over those seven losses on the bounce, wasn't it, since the Montenegro game. So it was difficult, I think, particularly not just for people watching, but I can guarantee the players themselves took that to heart. They weren't happy with going into games and losing. I think particularly something that I think resonated with me was the goals we were conceding. They were sloppy goals. They were set pieces that, Irish teams of the past have always been solid on set pieces, and that's kind of your bread and butter with the Irish teams, So I think the goals we conceded were poor. And I think the game against the Ukraine is probably the biggest one, because when you see they went on to play Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland beat them comfortably, that kind of was even worse for us, because you're kind of thinking, like, look, this is no disrespect to Northern Ireland, but we've got a better squad of players. We've beaten Northern Ireland several times in the past. So when you see them going and getting a great result against the Ukraine, it was just disappointing. But I think, in fairness to Vera and the squad, there's been a lot of things kind of going on. Obviously, COVID, games being cancelled, players being injured, all this sort of thing. There's been a lot of things that have filtered into the bad results. But I think continuously in the background, Vera and her staff have been trying to do the right things and get a style of play in place. And the most important thing now is these World Cup qualifiers coming up and being ready for them. And as you say, that Australia results couldn't have come at a better time. I actually thought myself the Georgia game being rescheduled was probably difficult, because then you're having your first qualifier against Sweden, which is a lot tougher game. I think if we had to play Georgia first, it would have gave us I would have hoped we would have went and beaten them, and it would have been a positive start to the group. But I think playing Australia, as you say, 11 in the world, very, very good team. Probably weren't at their best that night, but a great result for Ireland nonetheless. And it gives Ireland a great bit of momentum and confidence more than anything going into that game against Sweden. Yeah, confidence for the players, and probably will raise a little bit of expectation as well amongst everybody else ahead of that game against Sweden. Realistically, like, Sweden are going to win this group. Ireland, the playoff is a realistic hope?
We have to hope, don't we? I think it's qualifying for the World Cup is difficult. It's complicated. It's always been a difficult one to get through, you know. And when you look at the group we've been given, Sweden, they're an excellent team. Finland aren't a bad team either, you know. So I think we've always been dealt kind of these tough groups because of our seedings, and now it's important to try and just go into these games. And I think we've done quite well in the past against the big teams, but sometimes there's kind of like a, how do I say, it's like always patronise, and it's kind of like, oh, well, the girls done their best. Whereas now I feel everything that's been coming off the pitch, the Sky deal, the equal pay, all the good stuff that's coming, the media attention on the squad, I think that now brings a little bit of added pressure. I think before this game, you could see that there was a little bit more people talking about, are the team doing well enough? And there's questions being asked. And I think that brings pressure. And I think going into the Sweden game, that's important, because I think now these players know, right, we're being taken seriously. And when you're going to play against a team like Sweden has some excellent players, but so do we. So I think we need to go in and try and, obviously, if they're an excellent team, I think saying we're going to go in and win is probably been a little bit ambitious. We've probably got to go in and I hate to say it, but maybe set up not to be beat, and then hopefully maybe get something on the counter. You know, it's not something that any, particularly strikers and stuff, wants to say, but I think you've got to be realistic. Sweden are a very good team. As I said, I think the pressure that's on the players now is a good type of pressure, because I think it shows the team that people care. You know, it's not just anymore kind of like, oh, well, the girls gave it their best shot, oh, lucky, you know. There's that kind of patronisation is slipping away from the women's game, which for me is only a positive, you know. So I think going into the game, that pressure is a positive for this team, and I think they'll take it on their shoulders, and I think they'll put on a good performance.
Stephanie, great to talk to you as always. Hopefully you're back involved over the next campaign.
Let's hope so. We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. Stephanie with us in association with Cadbury FC, global partner of Manchester United. Check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. And don't forget everything that we have done with Jaap Stam, with Albert Morgan, with Stephanie Roche, you can get on the OTB Sports app, or just get onto our social channels now.